Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 for this Sunday night. Liverpool 3, Crystal Palace 0 yesterday at Anfield. Liverpool joined top of the league, or second in the league, on alphabetical order. Mad stuff that. Somebody's asked, when will we see the full lineup of the Fatback 4? Well, this is the full lineup. There's 4 fellas here. That makes it full. With regards to Shawnee, Shawnee is working. With regards to Greaves, he's gone on holiday. If just before anybody else asks any more questions, Greaves is gone. I don't know where he's gone, but he's definitely gone on holiday. I think he flew out yesterday, wherever he was going.
I think, is it?
Turkey might be getting his hair done. Right.
Yeah.
The Fatback 4 tonight, as you can see on screen, Liverpool 3, Palace 0. Mane has reached 100 goals for the club. The squad rotation that went on yesterday, because when we look at the lineup, you'll see that. And Norwich in midweek, loads in between as well. We're going to talk about Salah just scores goals. Milner just the best right back in the league, and loads of other stuff in between. Okay, what are we going to do? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do this. Right, let's get into it. Billy Konate, I was delighted for Naby, and we will talk about him in a little while. Freewood has made an outrageous accusation here when he says that Greaves is on holidays to Nando's. I don't know if he's a fan of Nando's, but maybe the Liveroo can let us know, because he is a fan of the Liveroo. I do know that much. So with me this week, Conroy, Chris and Keith to talk all things Liverpool versus Crystal Palace and much more. And Conroy, I'm going to come to you first, because when we beat Leeds last week, you were very, very upset at the fact that we beat them, if I remember rightly. And you said stuff like, we weren't great. We missed too many chances. I didn't learn much about them. I'm only messing. Yeah, but the point you were making was that Liverpool won the game last week, but you didn't learn an awful lot off them. And people kind of gave you a bit of stick for that in the chat. But I knew exactly where you were coming from, because Leeds came out with a game plan to play as Leeds would and opened themselves up to Liverpool. And Liverpool took advantage, although they should have done it more comprehensively, probably, with the chance that they had. And your point was that you learn more off Palace this week, because Palace would absolutely come out to frustrate and have that game plan. And that's where you learn more about Liverpool. Did you learn much yesterday? How do you feel about that result?
No, I did, and I think, to be honest, I do think 3-0's flattering for us. I think we'd all agree 3-0's quite flattering. The way the game went, kind of towards the end, we controlled it. The second goal kills the game, but obviously Palace hit the post at the start as well. It's a bit edgy, and I felt like we did, however, play quite well. I learned a lot. I've learned more from that game than the Leeds game, because Palace were there to frustrate us, and I feel like we created a lot of chances. Specifically, the one that sticks out off the top of my head is Diogo Jota, who should be given Mane his week's salary after that, because that is the worst miss I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'd put that right up there. But overall, I feel like I've learned a lot from that, and I'm more confident with the season ahead from that game than the Leeds game, because you probably see a few teams do that to Leeds this season if they go out that way. So I was quite delighted with that. I was actually quite happy that Mane scored quite the pivotal goal as well, to kind of kick us off for that game, because I don't know if you guys agree, but I feel like that first goal was quite important, because I say Palace had chances. It could have went either way. It's me and Chris in the pre-match show. Palace is always edgy. I don't know what it is. We've got a good record against them, but it always seems to be like even if you win comfortably, you get the second or third goal late in the game, if you know what I mean. And I actually felt that was kind of like that. Thankfully, we got the second goal. I've forgotten in my head who got the second goal. Salah from the corner with Van Dijk. 2 set pieces to make it 1-0 and 2-0. And that's also a really good point as well, Gav. Last season, we talked about Van Dijk and our presence in centre halves not being there, but the second goal shows you the value of having Van Dijk back in the team in attacking sense as well. So I learned a lot, and I'm actually quietly confident we can push a good title challenge this season now. Like you called it at the very start, Gav.
Yeah, listen. Freewood's on flying tonight. He's upset that I put that thing up about Nando's, but you asked the question, so I put it up there, Freewood. And he says, "Where's the cans?" Mate, I can't look at a can today. I had too many cans yesterday. I will admit that. So today was all about a carvery with loads of gravy and stuffing and meat. And as I was eating it, I could actually feel the alcohol oozing out of my body as I was eating that carvery earlier. So no cans tonight. It's a cup of tea in a really, really nice cup with love hearts all over it, and a bottle of water as a backup. So there you go. Just to fill free world in there. Keith,
Yes.
You know, I've said there, like, to Conroy about learning more, because Palace would have a more structured kind of approach to this game than Leeds, because I felt Leeds just tried to do a little bit against us but play the Leeds way and it opened them up. Now Palace did not absolutely sit back, as someone said in the chat there a minute ago, but they were more structured for me, and it is always edgy against Palace for some reason, even when you bash them, you know what I mean. It seems to be edgy for a lot of the time. How did you feel after that result?
Yeah, I felt it was a big result. Palace are a good team. You know, they were a good team under Roy Hodgson to a certain extent, and Vieira has now come in and is seemingly having an influence because, you know, they're good in midfield. Conor Gallagher is going to be a big player for them, and I know, Gav, you're a huge fan of the kid. You've said it for a while. He was very good for them yesterday. He's going to be involved in a lot of things they do, but they're a good team, and they always cause us problems. In the sense that Wilf Zaha causes us problems. Now, I have a huge issue with Wilfred Zaha. I think he's a good player, but he's either scoring goals or he's diving around looking for penalties. And I think he's one of the worst players, you know, for diving and then looking incredulous, like, how did I not get this? You know, he's got one of them faces that you can't believe. And he's just that type of player. Now, he's an excellent player for them. I think he's Crystal Palace's greatest ever player. And he's only relatively young, you know, he's an excellent player, but he just is a player that sort of annoys me. But there was all the narrative about James Milner has gone into right back and he's going to be up against Wilf Zaha, and he's been sent off twice in his career for fouls on Wilf Zaha. And it was nearly like people were willing, you know, let's get Zaha running at Milner to try and, you know, see Milner taking him down and Milner suffering. But, you know, Liverpool come out with that. I don't know, Conroy. I think that was fairly comfortable yesterday. I think that was fairly routine. I think when we watch these games, we're all a bit nervous. And I've said it for years on the show, like, sometimes, you know, in the moment, we think it's a lot more tough than it is. But I don't think Palace really offer too much in the attacking sense. My own opinion.
Do you not think... So I didn't interrupt, Keith. What I meant by that was Palace had a good few chances at times in the game. I still think we would have won, but I just felt 3-0 was a little bit flattering to ourselves, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, but I don't think Palace...
5-2 would have been better. 5-2 would have been more realistic. 5-2 would have been more realistic.
No, I genuinely don't think Palace really offered anything in attack, to be honest. I think the clean sheet is where it's at. I think, as fans, I think we had a bit of a fear factor when we saw the lineup, you know, and I think we were all sort of, well, some of us were on edge when we saw the teams, and I think that played into it and everything. You know, Palace started off well, and I was like, oh, Jesus, one of them days. But I thought Liverpool settled into it, and I thought we controlled it. Palace were getting bits in the middle. I think as the game goes on and Thiago comes off, I think we lose a bit of the control that we had in there. But overall, I think it's another great win for Liverpool. 3-0, clean sheet. You know, it's what we showed, and we'll come on to it, is we have that solidity back, and we made 3 changes to the back 4. And, you know, it looked good. You know, I'm sure we'll come on to them all individually, but we thought the defence were brilliant against Palace. I didn't think there was many issues there. When you look at, you know, Costa Tsimikas, Jesus Christ, get me a right-sided Costa Tsimikas for Trent Alexander cover, and we'll be absolutely flying, because I think the fella looks brilliant. He's all action, and he's exactly the type of player we need, that we can allow Andy Robertson to have rests and all. I thought there was a lot of positives to come out of yesterday.
Well, a couple of comments in there with regards to me having gravy on a dinner and liking me to Sam Allardyce. These absolute pricks. But listen, it is allowed to have. You're allowed to have gravy on a carvery. Like, who the fuck has a carvery with no gravy on it?
Sam Allardyce doesn't put gravy on his carvery. He drinks it out with it.
Yeah, like, I'm not drinking pints of gravy as a couple of people said there. I just had some gravy on the carvery. That's it. Like, you can't. It's actually a sin not to. But I wouldn't be going pints of it. Like, relax, lads. Chris, I'm going to put the lineup on the screen for you, because I asked these two lads to give me the general feeling of the match, and they've gone through every player, every fucking thing that happened in the game, when I clearly asked them not to, because they clearly don't listen to me. Okay,
yeah.
So no, it's not. You just go, listen, I'm really happy with that win. I thought we played well. I'm sure we get into it later and we move on. But no, it's impossible for Conroy and Keith to just do that. So Chris, I'm going to let you off. And I'm going to put the team up there, which I have. So we had Alisson, we had Tsimikas, Van Dijk, Konate, Milner at right back, Fabinho, Thiago Henderson, Mane, Salah, Jota. And you know what? As we said earlier, Chris, before we come on, like 3 of that back 4 wouldn't be regular starters, although Konate is only a new signing. And like, were you worried? Because I did see a lot of, oh fuck, Milner up against Zaha, and that's where they get at us. And then Konate just inside him, and you're thinking, that's 2 of them. You know, it's 3 a bit too much at the back. I know Trent was ill or whatever, but were you a bit worried, Chris, or were you thinking he'll be fine?
I was quite relaxed. I mean, I did the pre-show with Conroy, and the comments that were flying in were very angry. Lots of caps locks, lots of, oh my God, what are we doing? You know, we're throwing it away. This is why we haven't got squad depth. You know, this is the worst thing that's ever going to happen to us. and I had to sit there on my own till Conroy came to rescue me. And so they're going, but look at the midfield. That's on paper our strongest midfield. Look at the attack. You would argue that's our strongest attack. And we've still got the best defender in the world, and we've still got the best goalkeeper in the world. So I was looking at it going, I was quite excited to see Konate play, thinking, oh, finally could see how good he is. I've only seen him pre-season. There was a mild concern with Milner because he's not had the best of records against Zaha, but I was thinking, but he has got Henderson to cover him, and that's what Henderson's really well. And Milner will be asked to do the Trent role of pushing on. So actually, it'd probably Henderson who's got to cover him. And to be fair, Zaha never didn't get too much of a kick apart from the first 10 minutes. So I was quite excited about it because I want to see how that midfield works. We haven't seen that midfield since the derby last year. So I was excited for the team, but I was expecting like a tight 2-0, a typical Palace result. I think Conroy, we were similar, weren't we? But no, I was quite. I mean, the fallout of lineups. I don't know why people get so worked up about them because it doesn't change. And I would say for Klopp, 9 times out of 10, he gets it right. And this season, I don't think he's got one wrong yet in terms of a lineup. Yeah,
and like a couple of people are saying, well, there was there's a super chat there from Dinesh, and we have had issues with super chats where they were coming in and they weren't signed as super chats. Nothing from your end, it was something on our end. So we are trying to we have fixed that now. Okay, he said, evening, everyone is sleeping on Liverpool. I get the feeling Liverpool are going to win the league, and as fans we should believe in our team. I think we absolutely should. But there was a comment there from Free World. He's over the gravy incident now, I think, and he's back to the football, which is great to see. But he says here, he felt it was the poorest performance of the season, and we won 3-0, a sign of potential champions for me. Injuries are my only concerns, and that's fair enough as well. But I get the feeling we were a bit worried over Palace because they'd done a job on Spurs last week, you know. And Spurs, I seen something today, you know. Harry Kane last week didn't have a touch in Crystal Palace's box and didn't have a shot on target. It's the
first time in his career.
First time in his career when he started again this happened. And I think, you know what, Vieira needs time because it could have been very easy. It wasn't one of the De Boers that took over at Palace and they were horrendous. And he got no time, and that was it. He was gone.
4 games or something.
Yeah,
no, I only got 3 games, guys. 3 games. That is ridiculous. That's
I think it was 3, and I think we beat him in one of them, and then he was gone. But when you look at Patrick Vieira, you know, they started well. They play decent football, and maybe people just looking at that result last week against Spurs, going, you know what, it's a banana skin, I suppose. But Liverpool playing that back 4. I think I'm winning the game. You just go, you know what? It's another game out of the way. It's not when we're going to rant and rave and you know, throw up as a highlight reel come the end of the season. It's just 3 points that you have to go and get. And Liverpool, thank God, are able to make some changes and get a win. And no doubt Klopp is looking at this bit of squad rotation, and it'll happen again on Tuesday. And then you have another international break coming. So I think in the past, Klopp has stuck to sides for the first probably 6-8 games, and then you see him changing it. But that's something different this week. But Conroy, I'll come to you because Trent is out and he's ill, right? The easiest thing to do there would have been to, you know, he plays Tsimikas left back, right? Is it a sign of, and I seen somebody else on the internet saying this earlier, and when I read it, I was kind of going, that's a really good point. Is it a real show of confidence in Kostas Tsimikas that he goes and says, right, Trent's injured, but I'm still going to play Tsimikas? I'm going to change both fullbacks. Is that a real sign of confidence in Tsimikas? Because it would have been easy to say, Trent's injured, I'm losing the fullback, I have to put Milner in there, I'm going to go safe and I'm going to go Robertson. Is that a real sign of confidence in Tsimikas that he actually keeps him and puts him in the side, even though he's changing both of his fullbacks?
Right, absolutely, but I would add to that. There's proof. There's a sample size there. So Tsimikas, Norwich away, and was it Burnley home? Yeah, Burnley at home. No bother. You know, at moments he's got little lapses, but 95% of the time, very good, great delivery, sorted. It's obviously very last minute, Trent. It's the morning of the match. There is probably a bit of Tsimikas can do it. He'll be fine on that side. You've got Virgil there as well. There is a good point though, because Konate's in the team as well, Gav. So that is a good point. However, though, it's one of them. I feel like his full week, he's probably planned that Tsimikas, right, you're going to play this game. This is your game. You know, put that into shit. Costa said, I'm going to rest Robbo. Robbo's, if you count his international games, he's played 3 international games. And then he said the what was our game? Like the Leeds game. He's probably said to himself, and obviously the Champions League game, he's like, I'm going to rest Robbo definitely for this game and the Norwich game, and focus on him for the following week. And I think with the planning in that, and then Trent's last minute being injured, I felt like he's had the confidence and the proof's in the pudding that he can carry it out. So he's probably just thought, we've got a left back who can carry it out there. There's no need to change the full game plan. And then Milner, as I said in the pre-match, is our second right back. No doubt in my mind. He's ahead of Nico Williams. He's ahead of Gomez. He's the only one who offers, in my opinion, a quality in defence and attack for that. Probably both of them have got a mixture of both of those attributes, but for me, I think Klopp has decided that Milner will be the second right back for the season. So I said to Chris in the pre-match, I was quite happy with Milner being there. I think when he's previously played there, even recently, he's done quite well. What was the game last season, Chris? You said he was right back last year. Was it the Leicester game?
Yeah, Leicester at home where he
done well.
I was worried about Harvey Barnes and he kept Harvey Barnes quiet, and not many people do that either.
Yeah. So I feel like overall, Gav, I was maybe a bit like, oh, that's a bit. But then when I found out Trent was last minute illness, I kind of understood, and I thought he's obviously backs his players, and he's probably, as Keith said, just to reiterate that, he's probably backing his depth of squad more than he ever has now, because he was very much 11, 12 players, or maybe 13 that's his squad. But now it seems to be Tsimikas, confidence is there, chuck him in when I need to. So that can only be good for us. So yeah, overall, I was quite happy with it, Gav, and I feel like it shows the confidence he's got in Tsimikas.
Yeah, David Keogh said he's seen Keith last week crossing the Halfpenny Bridge. Of course, that's over the River Liffey in Dublin. He says Keith is a riot and was too starstruck to say hello, which is a bit strange. But
all I would say is, Davey, you should have said hello, because I doubt it was me. I wasn't anywhere near the Halfpenny Bridge, so it must have been another handsome bald man.
All right. I really wish you'd said hello now.
You should have said hello.
But I was going to leave this to later, but we've kind of hit on James Milner. So, Chris, I want to put that up on the screen for you. This is from the match of the day last night, and it was touches 113, match rank forced, passes 69, forced, passes in opposition's half 40, forced, crosses 13, forced, tackles 4, forced, distance covered just under 11 kilometres, forced, sprints 19, forced. And somebody in the chat there says he's our backup right back. Do you know what? Out of them all, going right back, and I include Joe Gomez in this, and even the shouts of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain earlier in the season, which was absolutely outrageous of a show. I'm more than comfortable if you tell me James Milner's our backup right back for the season ahead. Are you happy with that as well, Chris? And that's some stats, by the way.
Yeah, I'm still amazed the meltdowns people have over James Milner. I've Sam with him playing right back for us. I'm more comfortable playing right back than starting centre mid. I think his role for Liverpool should be as a backup right back starting, or you bring him on for the last 20-25 minutes in midfield to basically do his running in 20-25 minutes. That's where he's effective and use his ability. I mean, and it comes up in the chat all the time. People go, those stats are mad. Or people say, why are Liverpool still relying on a 35-year-old in the squad? But yeah, no one quibbles that Fernandinho still starts regularly for Man City, and he's 35, 36. And United are still have their backup striker as Cavani, who's 34, isn't he? So,
back up to
it's
their
not
37-year-old striker
correct.
as well.
So it's not just Liverpool that rely on 35-year-olds, and it's not only one, but it seems to be the meltdown everybody has over it. I don't know. To me, he's been there, he's done it. He kind of does what, in a better way, what United did with Giggs in his last 5-6 years, which was he just drops his experience in when you need it, and he keeps players on the toes, and he's not afraid to bollock a few. And I think sometimes you need that bit of someone to dig you out and will make you stay honest. And I think he's ideal. So look, you worry about him against real pacey wingers like Zaha, but he's just used his experience, and Zaha just didn't really know what to do and ended up getting frustrated and having a strop, which was very Zaha, to be fair.
Yeah, Ruben Boy says he's your backup in all positions, and I think that's a great show. You're mentioning there starting a right back or coming on as a cover at right back, or coming on with 25, 30 to go and going to midfield, and he brings a different dynamic. And I'm always amazed how James Milner goes around the pitch kicking people as much as he wants and never gets booked. He must know. He knows the refs have
he
years.
It's unbelievable. It was ridiculous yesterday.
But even midweek against Milan, he just come on and just start clattering fellas, and he just gets up as if to say, "Is that not allowed?"
I'm 36. What do you expect?
Yeah. But listen, I'm not bothered by his age. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't like to see Milner depended on for 10, 15 straight games. Regardless of how fit he is, he's still 36. And it's hard. Any 36-year-old playing football, although he's superbly fit, will tell you it's more the recovery on your body that's the issue if you're trying to play every 3 days. If you're home to play once a week for 15 games, I think you'd be okay. But the recovery to play Saturday, and use them properly, I don't think it's an issue. And somebody did say there, look, it's only one game. It is only one game, but if that's what he's there for, when he comes in for 25 here, 25 there, plays the odd full game, and he's doing it, who cares what age he is? And he is out of contract at the end of the season. It'll be interesting to see what Liverpool do with regards to him, because I genuinely think I wouldn't like to see him leave the club. I'm not saying I want him there next season as, fifth choice midfielder, but I think he's so important to things we do all the time. And people will say that'll be a bit nostalgic and stuff, but I don't. I look at it and I say to myself, you know what? He done absolutely brilliantly yesterday, and he didn't put a foot wrong, and he was good defensively, he was good attacking wise, his experience is there, and that's always a great asset to have. And that's the way I just look at it. I don't take other factors into consideration. I just watch the game and go, yeah, he was really good. But there is things like you don't want him 15, 16, 20 games, because then it just catch up with him really well. Go on, Conroy, I know you want to jump in.
No, I just wanted to add to that, Gav. I was thinking about this the other day. See, we talk about Trent being a right back and then going into midfield, and then people are obsessed with it, and we always say it's a different position. Do you not think that actually I'm more comfortable with James Milner being a fullback than now, or covering for the last 25 minutes? Because I feel like it's a completely different game, and as you get older, being central mid, you've got to worry about everything around you. It can sometimes be a battle, especially with our engine room. At times when he's playing right back or he's played left back in the past, it's a different role, and because he can see stuff in front of him, I feel like, yes, the fitness, we talk about that. I feel more comfortable with him playing there than now, because everything's in front of him. It's not always like people coming from behind you in an absolute battle. I don't know if you guys agree with that. That's why I'm quite comfortable with him there, because yes, you're going to get the Zahas now and again. It's going to cause him some issues. But for me, I feel like he can see everything from down the side, and he can. We talk about Trent, going to midfield, and it's completely different. Well, I feel a bit like that when Milner is getting older. I feel like I'm quite comfortable in playing fullback, because he can see everything, and to me that suits him as he's getting older. But that might just be me.
David Keogh is back. He says it was the Samuel Becker bridge. I think Keith on now. Now that's a change.
Definitely was me then.
Yeah, because that's his neck of the woods. Yeah. He lives down by the posh bridges over that.
Yeah, that definitely was me. Yeah, not the Halfpenny Bridge. That was me. Should have said hello this time, Dave. It's a shame that everyone's gutted that. If you had said hello, it would have been to me. But next time say hello.
Next time you see him, knock on your Instagram and stream it live. I just say hello to Keith. Yeah. Random was saying hello to Keith on Bridges in Dublin. Could be a new series that we could do. Yeah. It could be an absolute.
Got legs that.
Yeah, absolute cracker. Keith just walking around talking to randomers to say hello to him.
That's it.
I'm up for it.
You know me off the internet.
No, you asking people. You know me. Would be brilliant. But Freewood says we won 3-0 and James Milner was man of the match. End of discussion. Zaha didn't get a sniff, and he didn't. I think that's very, very, very fair. But getting into the game itself, Chris, I'll come to you. And we've talked about Simicast, we've talked about Konate, we've talked about Milner. Van Dijk comes back into the side after being rested against AC Milan. And the first chance of the game, and it could have really, really changed the game, was for Palace when that ball is looped back into the box and kind of a mad touch over Alisson, who runs after it and kind of puts, flaps a hand at it and it hits the post and goes out. Were you worried, Chris? Because, you're thinking, we're a couple of minutes here. We're a couple of minutes in and this has happened and you're thinking, if that goes in, we could have been in trouble, because then they would have sat back and went, now we look to expose Zaha against Milner, for argument's sake, properly on the break.
Yeah, look, you know me long enough. I'm normally quite chipper with Liverpool, but I must admit, when I saw that chance nearly go in, that song, is it Hello Darkness, My Old Friend, that came back and it was all 13, 14 flashbacks. I was going, I could do like this bollocks on a Saturday afternoon. So after me being really quite chipper and confident on the pre-match, thinking this is going to be fun, isn't it? So, but it highlighted the big thing we need is it's the difference of having a world-class goalkeeper. Because I've seen Liverpool concede that sort of soft goal. That's Mignolet or Karius or some of the other bums have had a goal. They probably push it in for you. They don't get it out. And Alisson today, I still think makes it effortless. And on the quiet, he still saves quite a lot of one-on-ones. So yeah, I must admit, I think that woke a few people up. I think it gave Jota a rock up the arse because it was a shit clearance, which led to it. But yeah. The worry I always have with Palace was Gallagher getting a free kick, because I thought his delivery was brilliant. And I do think that was the big danger for them. But it was a mad goal, because it came off Zaha's thigh, I think, didn't it? I don't think he even knew it did him. Yeah,
it was just a weird one. And when it happens, it doesn't go in. But I'm kind of going, my first thought is, 3 of the back 4 changed, are they communicating, because usually you see Liverpool come up so high and catch it offside so regularly with the back 4. They're in a perfect line. They get up. And if anyone's a yard, I think it might have been Trent last week away at Leeds, and he's a bit lazy in the second half. And Leeds happen to get in behind Liverpool for once. Liverpool clear it. But Trent gets eaten out of it because he's not on that line. And that line is so important. And I was just thinking about, they probably need 10, 15 minutes here just to get themselves right and know where they are. And I know how good of footballers they are, but when you put three together out of 4 that don't usually play together, you do need 10, 15 minutes. But it doesn't go in. Alisson makes a save, and I think you're right. I think other goalkeepers we've had in the past would have been flat-footed and look at that looping over their head. But Alisson doesn't. He just turns and runs after it and knocks her off the post for the laugh as well while he's at it. But that's the early chance, and you're thinking, okay, let's settle down. And I thought Liverpool were good. I thought they were good on the ball. I thought they controlled it well. I know Palace had the odd chance here and there on the break and stuff like that. And I do like the guy in midfield, that his name's gone out of my head, and I think he's a very, very, the fella from Chelsea. Gallagher. Who was with West Brom last year. And I watched him a little bit for West Brom last year. 4 or 5 times. Always impressed with him. Always impressed with him. Looks to get on the ball, not afraid to be pressed. Good, technically very good, delivery very good. And I think people say, another 30 million player that Chelsea will sell on. I think Chelsea will have a good long look at him come the end of this loan deal and to see if they can actually get him in the side. Because when I look at Chelsea's midfield, I think to myself, Kante, Jorginho, Kovacic, really good players. But I think he's a bit different to them. I'm not saying he's better than them, but he's a bit different. And I think he could be added to the Chelsea squad for me next season.
He probably get more game time than Loftus-Cheek, I would say.
Yeah,
Loftus-Cheek's in the squad, and they just don't want him. But looks of it,
really good point.
Yeah,
because Gilmour's similar. Gilmour will come in to replace a Kovacic or a Jorginho because they're very similar. But Gallagher's very much like, I'm not saying he's Lampard role, but he does make runs in the box quite late. You saw with West Brom and Palace, like he gets goals. He got 2 goals away to West Ham as well. I'm very impressed. I think he's a very, very, very good player. Even like the fact that his delivery is good as well. It's like he seems to work on his game. So I think that's a great shot. I think you're right, Gav. I think you'll get in the Chelsea team.
Yeah, I think he could be in the Chelsea squad. He's just something different. Like when you look at Harvey Elliott, right? Harvey Elliott, I'm not saying he's a better player than the midfielders we have, but he's something different. He's that link. He doesn't, no problem being pressed, good on the ball, protects it well, sees a pass, good delivery. And I think Gallagher's very like that, although he has a year ahead of more experience in the Premier League than Harvey Elliott. But you can see the progression in Gallagher as he gets more and more confident. And I think, you know what, he might have struggled at West Brom a bit last season because they were poor, you know. But when you look at this Palace side, he seems to be becoming a bit of a talisman for them. He's the one that people are talking about, and I think he's thriving on it. So it's yeah, he's a really good player. But I thought Liverpool were good, but I want to talk about two incidents in the first half before we get to the Mane goal. And Keita, come to you. Palace should have had a penalty, in my opinion, right, for that Tsimikas on Benteke incident where he trips him as the ball's being crossed into the box. Do you agree? Because I genuinely think it should have been a penalty.
I don't.
I know you wouldn't.
But no, I didn't at the time, because my take on it was, right, that if it was a sniff of a penalty, it would have been given.
I think he get it.
What I've seen, I think everything was given last year, and I think they've sort of nearly changed, you know, as much as they're given. But what I've seen since then, in the City game, in the Leicester game, in the United game, the officiating is sort of being a bit scaldy again, with VAR decisions that you think should be given not being given, and vice versa. But I genuinely thought that Benteke, of the angles I saw, I didn't see him connecting with him. I thought Benteke went down looking for the penalty. It looked like he may have gone across him, but I don't think there was any contact. And my thinking on it was, if there was a sniff of contact, they'd gave a penalty. Do you know what I mean? They really would.
It's significant contact as well, Keith. It's significant contact. This is the thing. It's not just contact. It's significant contact.
That's it, Conroy. You're right there, because
but the point
it could have been a case of, if it was a case of a significant contact, you're talking about Tsimikas literally tripping him as he's going through, and look, that's a penalty all day long. So I think the angle that they showed might have been deceiving on that.
Oh well, look,
I also don't think he's getting the ball. I don't think he gets the ball even if he doesn't trip him.
That's fair enough, but the way I looked at it was, and I get the whole significant contact and stuff like that, and people are mentioning VAR from this weekend, which was atrocious, and you know I'm not a fan of it, but if you go through, like, Daniel James away at Newcastle is a stonewall penalty, and apparently it's checked and not given, which is unbelievable. And there was another couple of incidents as well. I think they end up getting the one right on Ramsdale for Arsenal. But people have said to me, but if you make that tackle in midfield and you get the ball and follow through, they're going to give you a free kick. There's an argument there. But again, we're in a kind of a grey area for me. You know, all this let it flow bollocks, and we're arguing points because we're not too sure what the mandate is. You can't just put a thing on it like let it flow and then everyone goes, oh, we're letting it flow, okay, but we don't know what the contact's meant to be. For me, Tsimikas, for no reason, puts his leg out and tries to trip Benteke, and you can see his hands going up, you know, and I think he does it, and then I think he says fuck and puts his hands up as if, oh, that was an accident, and I just looked at him and went, you know what, all things being equal, if that was a Liverpool player going for a ball at the back post and somebody done that, we'd be screaming for it. And I kind of looked and went, I just thought he got away with it. I thought it was a bit of luck. I wouldn't be surprised if Klopp turned to him and went, don't do that again. Yeah. You know, if he's not going to get to it, fine. If he is going to get to it, you make sure you're in a position to stop him, and or you know, make sure he doesn't get a shot on goal, etc., etc. Yeah. But me just looking at that yesterday from, you know, trying to be a neutral point of view, I looked and went, you know.
I have to say, if I had been given that, I wouldn't have argued if I had been given. But my thinking on it was, I didn't see enough evidence that there was any trip.
It's not obvious error. It's not obvious error. Yeah. The VAR not going to.
And I think if there had been an obvious sort of connection, I think they would have given a penalty, and I would have said that's fair enough, because if he's tripped them up, it's a stonewall. And I just think now the way the VAR have been going, they've been sort of better than last season, better than the last couple of years, and that was what I'm basing on no penalty on. That they didn't give it, they checked it and they didn't give it. You know, we see one angle of it, and they're seeing how many. You know,
got to remember when that happens, they're communicating straight away, and within the first 30 seconds, they'll be like, take a look at that, review it. Like, if you watch the breakdown with the refs on the mics and like BT YouTube channel, it is very quick. Like, I'm not saying VAR's quick, but they are on it very quickly. Well, they should be.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean.
Anyone says, I don't know what game you're watching, Gav, mate, respectfully. Well, I was watching that game, and and what I'm saying is,
I mean, they showed it on Match of the Day highlights.
Exactly.
So,
Well, Match of the Day is a different issue because they just,
You forget about
you know.
them, yeah.
but do you know what I mean? But they showed it. As
It was stupid though, Gav. That's the one thing. There's no need for him to do it. That's completely stupid.
That's what I'm trying to get at, because I still feel we're in a grey area with regards to contact. Whether the ball, is he getting the ball? Is he not getting the ball? You know, like if a ball goes over the top and it's landing 20 yards in front of a striker and a defender pulls him down, you could just turn and go, he's not getting to that. But if he pulls him down, he's getting sent off. You know, because he has made a movement towards a player to stop him trying to go for a ball, regardless of where it is. You know, and I'm not, look, all things being equal, and if we're all just using our common sense, you go, listen, Benteke, fuck off, will you? You know what I mean? But at the same time, that defender made a movement towards Ben. I nearly called him Heskey, towards Benteke for no reason. And I don't think you can be in the way things are at the moment, regardless of how many like nice little words they put on it, like let it flow and shit like that. You can't risk that. You cannot risk it, and that's just the way I look at it. But look, maybe it's one you got away with. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. But I did look at it yesterday and went, he's maybe not getting the ball, but don't do it.
It was never going to be given after it wasn't given originally.
Maybe not, but don't. Don't put yourself in that position, if you know what I mean. Because I think there's an argument for them to turn around and go,
but it was
it's a penalty.
It was shown on the highlights. So to say, we can't say, I don't know what game you're watching, when I think Sky, BBC, I think NBC have all shown it in the highlights package as a potential talking point. So
yeah, but have they shown anything clearer than, you know, is there anything else? And look, I'm not saying there isn't, I'm asking the question. Is there any clear video of him making a move and blocking him?
Yeah.
Yeah. The
I've only seen it from
the BBC.
I've only seen
it looks like he sticks his thigh out to clip him, and you see the reaction of, oh shit, I got away with that.
Look,
you do see the reaction, but I thought the reason it wasn't given mainly was because I think the cross is too deep. I don't think he's actually going to get it.
Yeah,
and
maybe so.
Benteke's just gone, I'll go down anyway because I might get it.
Yeah, that's my biggest issue. It's just maybe he's not getting it, but I'm just saying, if there's still a grey area, don't put yourself in that position because you don't know what way to react.
Didn't they change the rules around whether you're getting it or you're not a couple of years ago? Do you remember? Didn't we get a penalty, Lovren, against, who was it? And there was the pulling in the box and the ball went way over Lovren's head. Who was it?
Was it the Calvert-Lewin?
No. That's Palace away.
It was Palace away, wasn't it? Yeah,
AU pushes them.
Yeah, and it's away from the ball, goes well over the head, but there's a push on Lovren and he gives the penalty. So it doesn't have to be, you know, not getting the ball and things like that. I don't think.
The John Evans one was the one a couple of years ago when Chris Wood stupidly fouls him when the ball's rolling over the line, but he does clip him stupidly. Like he puts his legs, and then VR stated that John Evans may have caught that. And that's why I think they've said, as you're right, it doesn't matter if they're not getting it if there's a foul in the box or it's deemed, you know, quite close. But as you say, Gav, I completely agree. Like, it's stupid. I'm not disputing that. Yeah. I just think when it wasn't given originally, it's like, we can't complain that they're trying to make VR. You can't complain that they don't get every single decision right if they're trying to make the game flow, because we don't want it to be like NFL. So I feel like there needs to be a great balance. You need a bit of give and take with it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I'm just saying that if everything was straightforward, decisions-wise, you'd be going, fine, he's not getting to it. But for me, you're still in the grey area. You're going, they could genuinely give that and make an argument as to why they've given it, because we're not 100% sure. Nathan Brooks says you guys could talk about one incident for a whole hour. Nathan, if you've only joined us, we're nearly talked about keep meeting David on a bridge. So we could have done an hour on that, but we decided to move on to Simicast and penalty shouts. But we'll move away from that, and we move away from it because a minute later, Jota misses a horrendous miss. And Chris, I'll come to you because
worse than running Rosenthal. This one,
the form he's in, you know, the ball gets shot across, and you're thinking he's just tapping that in. I don't know why he's trying to hit it so hard, but it's a horrendous miss. And you know what? Going back, Chris, to an early chance for Palace, and you're going, oh, for fuck's sake, if that went in. This one, I'm thinking, it could be one of those days. Because, you know what I mean? Like, it's in front of goal, it's 2 yards out, the keeper's nowhere to be seen. What are you doing hitting it so hard? And you're thinking, 38 minutes, I think it was. And if we get to half-time now, and we're 0-0, Palace getting, you know, a bit of energy off that, a bit of adrenaline going, a bit of confidence because they've had a brilliant chance and they've missed it. Let's go and get at them. But, it was a serious miss, wasn't it?
I thought Klopp was going to chin him. I honestly thought I was going to walk on and chin him. I just like, what are you doing? Because that's 2 weeks running now. Thiago's nearly had a brilliant headed goal. He had the offside against Leeds,
That's
and he
right.
had that one today. You know, he's for such a small fella, he's quite good at heading. And Jota, I mean, he's been watching Mane because I thought people get Mane a lot of stick for his Leeds miss last week.
No, he's topped that, mate. He's managed to top it somehow. He's managed to do that.
I think he got into the upper part of the. Got into the upper part of the Annie Road end, which takes some doing from 2 yards out.
Yeah,
it was rough. I was watching it on a stream, and I thought it was a glitch. I thought my screen had glitched, and I went, "Oh, it's 1-0, isn't it?" And I went, "Oh fuck, no, he actually has missed it," because the screen froze, and generally thought he hasn't missed. It's just a glitch on my screen. So I was in disbelief. He did look like he wanted the ground to swallow him up at that point. I was like, "Fucking hell." So,
James LFC says Jota is channeled is in our Werner with that miss, and Rames Khalil says, have you clocked Thiago's late runs into the box to pick up crosses from the right hand side? It is interesting because it has happened now twice in the last 2 games where he's getting into those positions as the extra man in the box, and he's unlucky against Leeds to be offside, and he's unlucky with the header. But then you're thinking Jota will tap in, and you know, I am thinking 38 minutes. I can literally see it now. You know, half time goes, Liverpool should be ahead, and you know what a Palace
take his score second half.
Yeah, one of those a horrible fucking goal. You know, it hits him in the hip from a corner or something like that. But Keith, I'll come to you because an astounding start. I think that's Mane's 9th goal in a row against Palace, which is fucking madness.
Yeah.
10 and 11 now, isn't he?
Yeah, it's 10 and 11.
He scored 3 for Southampton as well against them, didn't he?
Yeah, it's 9 games in a row now he scored against Palace, and it's a great
Premier League record for any player, isn't it?
Yeah,
to score in
consecutive games against
Liverpool,
against opposition. And you know what? It's a great time to get it, Keith. 43 minutes. Mane scores. Good corner from Simicast. I think that's a well-worked corner where Salah comes around the front post and gets that header in. It's a really good header. It's actually a good save. But Mane is on he's on hand to tap in, and he has a couple of goals like that against Palace. You know, off rebounds and just close to goal and stuff like that. But first of all, good time to get it, Keith. Second of all, that's 100 goals for Liverpool, and I watched all 100 goals this morning with a hangover, and he has some absolute belters. What a sign!
Yeah, great player. I've been critical of him in the last year, maybe, in the sense that I have. Yeah, I've sort of been saying I think we probably should cash in on him.
You tried to sell him twice.
Yeah, that's very much so. But now, in all seriousness, I think, and I'll put my hand up to this. Even in games of being critical, you know, he took a lot of stick against Leeds because he missed so many chances. I think he's actually playing very well. I think he's playing excellent. When I look back at it, you know, with retrospect, I've been looking back at some of the performances, and we're holding him to a standard. You know, that it wasn't too long ago, Mo Salah and Sadio Mane were on a par. And you didn't know who was going to make that step up to be our main man up front, you know, and that's not a stupid thing to say. You go back a couple of years and it really was. Obviously, Salah is the main forward there, and I just think Mane has I wouldn't say declined. I just think he's maybe regressed slightly, or wasn't able to keep up with Salah. But when you look at his game, without the missed chances, and he is missing a lot of chances, let's be honest, he's still driving at players. He's still getting the ball. He's still running. He's still causing problems. And he seems to be in a stage now where he doesn't give a shit if he's missing them, because he'll pop up and
we did last week.
He
was having a breakdown last week away at Leeds. Like he was.
Yeah, but he pops up and got one then.
No, I know, but you could see him getting like he was nearly laughing at himself at one stage away at Leeds.
Yeah, but what my point was that he still got his goal at the end of it. Do you know what I mean? So he's got a record. You know, his goals are all a bit. They're either scabby or they're
instinctive.
They're instinctive, yeah, exactly. Instinctive goals. And I just think, I'll put my hand up and say I've been overly critical of him in the last 6 months, maybe. I just think if we look at him on his own and say, right, this is our left winger, we're getting goals out of him, and he's a constant threat, but he's maybe not the threat he was 2 years ago, then I think we're just holding him in too high. We're using his previous excellence against him. I think he's playing well now. I think he's been unfairly judged by myself and by others, and I hope he continues to prove me wrong, and you know, scores many more goals in games, because it's quietly the forwards are starting to walk again, and I'm including Firmino in this, even though he's injured at the moment. The four of them are having their moments again. It's Chelsea. We know what happens against Chelsea. We couldn't break them down, but look, there's not many teams that are going to break down that Chelsea, especially when they go all out defence like that. But other than that, the lads are all showing a hunger. Firmino looks like he has a bit of zip about him again. Jota has got goals, Mane's got goals, and Mo's got goals. I think quietly they're starting to look like a unit again, and that's down to Mane getting back to his level.
I think Kevin Ball says 3-3 for Mane, and I think it's something like, I could be wrong, but I think it's about 8-10 for Mane. Going back to the back end of last season as well, and for me, like, don't get me wrong, last week at Leeds he could have had a fucking bag full of goals, but it was one of those, and we had that discussion where too much time to think is a confidence thing. I think it might, and you know, there are half decent finishes. There's a lot of good saves in there, but overall he's working so hard, and Klopp said it during the week, physically and mentally he looks really, really good at the moment. And you know, I think that's a big thing for Klopp to say, because Sadio came out at the start of the season in pre-season, said last season wasn't good. I was feeling it physically, I was feeling it mentally, probably a bit drained, but he was determined to get back to his best. Now, I'm not saying he's back at his best, but he's returning goals, he's working hard for the team, he's creating. And, you know, like any team that are playing well and it's just not going in as a team, there might be a stage where Mane just hits fire and he's just everything he touches. You know, we could be here in the 2 months' time going, he has fucking 12 and 12, or he's 15 and 15, and then we were quickly forgetting the chances he missed at, i.e. Leeds or wherever it might be. So I think it's still a bit of a work in progress for Sadio Mane, but at the moment I don't think there's anything to worry about, and he's still returning good numbers for the side. So all good with that. Conroy, I'm going to come to you, because half-time comes and goes, Liverpool are 1-0 up, and as any Liverpool fan that's watched them over the years, you're always thinking, have to get a second. Even though Liverpool are really good at protecting 1-goal leads over the last couple of years, especially since Van Dijk's been at the club, you always think, just get one more. And I think that the whole Palace element comes into it, because it always seems to be, if you don't get a second against Palace, they could hurt you, you know, that sort of way. But Mo Salah scores, and because Mo Salah scores goals, and you know, he comes up with it's a really good finish in my opinion, and you know, it makes it 2-0, and he has this tweet after the game. He says, "You, the fans, keep me going. You give me more strength than I think you'll ever know." Apart from people getting upset, Conroy, at the fact he took his jersey off and lost him some fantasy football points, I'm talking about Chris here.
Absolute prick.
What did you make of him yesterday, Conroy? Because, you know, not his best game in my opinion, but it's 3-0 and Salah's on the score sheet again.
Yeah, no, sorry, just cut it for a second there, Gav. We just asking my thoughts on Salah's performance. Yeah, great finish. I don't know if I watched the replay, if I actually hit someone in the boot or it's more just to shin a little bit. Who cares? Great finish, very instinctive. Just before I go on with Salah, if my memory might be playing games on me, my mind might be playing games, but does Edouard miss that chance just before Salah scores?
I think he does. The one that stumbles at his feet.
So that's a sitter. That's an absolutely huge chance that Alisson saves, right? Yeah. It's more the striker's fault. He's got to hit that on a volley. That's the one mistake James Milner had, because he didn't track that runner. That was the one moment of just a shout out to Alisson. That's why it's not even like a hard save. It's just his decision making. He's so he just believes in his ability, and there's no hesitation with Alisson. So just a shout out to Alisson. And then a couple of minutes later, if I'm not wrong, Salah scores that. Again, 2 goals from set pieces. Shimikas with the ball in, flicking with Van Dijk, what we missed last season. We forget how valuable he is from set pieces, even though he should score more because he misses a lot of chances with his head. And then Salah scores. Great finish. Through the stream I was watching, you couldn't even see it because he hit it as that quick, that instinctive. And then by then, you're just like, right, I think we'll be, the way we've played, we'll be able to just see the game out and control it from there. But Mo Salah, I don't know for some reason if he maybe thought that was his 100th goal in the Premier League. I don't know, because he seemed to celebrate more with that goal than he did last weekend.
I think it's his first goal in front of the Kop, since we've had crowds back.
Was that the reason? But who cares? I don't care.
I think that's what.
Do what you want, mate. Do what you want when you score. I couldn't care less.
Not when his fancy points is my captain. No, I want to just.
He's my captain, but I couldn't care. I care more about Liverpool. But it was great, and I feel like it was. Gav, you hit the nail on the head, and I say this about Salah. Ironically, not as much this season, but even when he doesn't play well, he'll score because that's just what he does. It's just what he does. He's so effective, and yet again another example of that. So, I think as Keith alluded to earlier, it's been Mane and Salah. I remember it was a long time. It was like they're both competing, but now I think it's like you can just tell his decision making's better. He's not trying to do a lot of the work, and even in the game. Like at times he's running with the ball and it wasn't quite working because he was trying to beat a man and his touch was a little bit off. But in general, I think he's making the ball do the work sometimes as well. He's not tiring himself out. I just think the whole package of Salah is subtly improving, and I think even his movement, you'd say a number 9 movement. That's another goal that you'd say that's a striker's finish. So as I say, we're very lucky to have him. Just sign the contract and get it sorted, and that's us. I wouldn't say give him 500k. I'm not one of them because I feel like that's ridiculous. But get him signed up.
Look,
yeah, not for me. That upsets the apple cart in my opinion.
Owen Bork says Salah is the ultimate team player at the moment, passing more than ever, and working hard to cover Trent when he's out of position. And I think that's a big thing. There's accusations thrown at Salah every now and then that he's greedy and he's a bit selfish. I have no issue with him being greedy and selfish. He's a goal scorer. I don't care if he plays right wing. He's a goal scorer, and you talk to any goal scorer through any era, for any side, and they'll always tell you, yeah, I was greedy, yeah, I was selfish, but most of the time it would work out because I'd score more than I'd miss, or I'd score big goals, and maybe sometimes I wouldn't pass it to a mate, but I'd probably still get a goal 5 minutes later, and I'd dig us out of a hole, and I've no problem with that. But I think there has been a change for me in Salah, the way, Leeds last week, Trent goes forward, he gets injured. And he kind of goes down and he's slow to get up, and Salah realises straight away, I think it's first half, and Salah just makes a sprint 40, 50 yards back into the right back position, and you wouldn't usually see that. And I think Salah has, people have talked about the emergence of names are going out of my head all fucking day today.
It's a Guinness though.
It is the Guinness. The emergence of the young fella that plays for us.
Harvey Elliott.
Names have literally fallen out of my ears at the minute. Fallen out of my brain. But when you talk about the emergence of Harvey Elliott, and it has been shown, and Jamie's shown a lot on the midweek fix with regards to look at the general positions where you have Trent, Salah and him so close to each other and working together. I think not only has it suited Salah because I think he's seen the development and the excitement in this player, it's also given him responsibility. I think he's taken on the responsibility of going, you know what, I am going to play with him, I am on the same wavelength, but he may need help at certain times, and that's where you're seeing much more of a workman-like performance at times from Salah, where he's taking that responsibility to go, Trent is amazing and Harvey Elliott is amazing, but they're still 22 and 18 years of age down my side. I have to show a bit of leadership there, and I think it's actually rounded his game a lot more. Hold up play, passing it more, being more positionally aware in a defensive sense. He's just coming on all the time, Salah. And somebody says, and I seen it earlier, a Ballon d'Or for this year. I think if he keeps it up, he has to be in with a show of a Ballon d'Or. If he keeps it up, I'm not saying he can or he will win a Ballon d'Or, but if he keeps it up, he absolutely has to be in with a shout. And
the only thing with the Ballon d'Or, that's February, Gav, so that might be next year's Ballon d'Or.
Listen, it doesn't matter. Just keep playing the way he's playing now for loads of months, and he has to be in with one of them. I don't know when they're probably giving the one from last year, this year, because of COVID and stuff like that. But I just see that little bit of an evolution in Salah, and I think it's good for him because when he's 28, 29 years of age, and we're going on about this contract, and I think you're going to see an evolution of Salah being more of a central player for me as the years go on. But in saying that, even if you're a central striker, you have got responsibility to the guy on the left, the guy on the right, protecting your midfielders by defending from the front, and I think all of that is part of an evolution for Salah as he goes into the back end of his career for me. And I think it's interesting to see him and the responsibility he's taken around young players that are playing with him. I've no doubt he loves playing with them, but he still has to be responsible a little bit for them at times. And I think he will sign that contract. And you know what else? He takes the top off, and someone said he's being booked twice with Liverpool, and both for taking his top off. And I love that, right? If he does 3 or 4 of them a season, he's not getting a ban, and I'm happy. But I think it's a case of, you know what, we did get away with one a minute ago, but now it's just dropped and I've banged it in. We're 2-0 up. Let's go. I'm delighted. You know, the sort of way, and it's a real killer instinct, and I absolutely love that. And it's a flush finish. It really is, Conroy. It's flush off the boot and he bangs it. But I think it's just one of those where he knows we got away with one, and I've really not dug us out of a hole, but given us a breathing space that we probably need, because every now and then Palace were getting a look in, and he makes it 2-0. Free World is probably slagging the way I say Ballon d'Or, is he? Ballon d'Or. There's loads of I suppose Keith probably has a list who could win the Ballon d'Or. That's how many people could be in the run for that. Keith, do out a list for next week of who could win the Ballon d'Or, will you? For
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane won it.
No, that's the midweek fix, Keith. That's the midweek fix.
Well, I'm sure Phil won't mind me nominating Harry Kane as the inaugural winner of the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And we'll backdate it for the last 5 years as well.
That's how much he likes Harry Kane.
Can also get the team award.
But look, it's an outstanding finish, and it makes it 2-0. And I think everyone kind of not breathes a sigh of relief, but it's kind of comfortable now, and let's go and win the game. Talk to me, Keith, about, because you like this player and you were one that picked him out ahead of his teammate when Liverpool were being linked with centre halves, and it's Ibrahima Konate. Makes his first start in the Premier League, first appearance in the Premier League, I think, for Liverpool today or yesterday. And what did you make of him? Because I thought he done really, really well, and he puts in really good tackle.
Yeah, I think he's excellent, Gav. I genuinely think he's excellent. I think he was at fault a few times for maybe being a bit deeper and getting caught once or twice. But I think Ibrahima Konate, I said it last year, I think he's made for this team. You know, when we were linked with the other fella, that Sham, what's his name?
Upamecano.
And I said Konate is a better player. And someone pulled me up in the YouTube comments afterwards. You've never watched football, you don't know ball. That look, I think he's great. I think he has all the tools. I think as this season goes on, he's going to be the go-to centre back when Matip inevitably does get a knock or is being rested. I think Joe Gomez might have a real fight on his hands to get ahead of Konate. Maybe not at the moment. I think if there's early, need for early changes, maybe Gomez will come in for the first few months, because Klopp does like to give players time to get used to the system and get used to the league. But I thought Konate was excellent yesterday. Like I said, one or two little mishaps with his positioning, but he's playing in a team, it's a much changed defensive unit. Mm-hmm. But he's up against, luckily he's up against Benteke, he's not mobile, he's not overly physical. Benteke isn't the player he was before we signed him.
No.
So he wasn't given too much of a run around, but he was on the same side as Zaha. And we know what Zaha, I've said it about Zaha earlier, he's a good player, but he's always looking to go down. He's always looking for the penalty, and he was on that side. And I think the fact that Milner was there gave him a bit of stability as well beside him. I thought he was excellent. I thought Konate's debut was really promising, because you're right, Gav, he made a couple of blocks, a couple of times he ran back, and he just put pressure on the forward, the attacker. I think AU went through once and he just caught up with him, matched them stride for stride, and out-muscled them then and forced the shot wide. I think it's a good cameo. It's a good cameo for what we'll see. I think in the second half of the season, I think he will really establish himself as an option at the back for us.
Some recovery pace as well, Keith. That's quite important. I know you shouldn't rely on that, because he did get caught out. I think Edward, he got back. Don't get me wrong, great challenge, but that gives him. We talk about Walker all the time. Is maybe and I think Konate will get intelligence-wise, he'll get there, but that's a great trait to have for us, especially the high line. Even if he makes a mistake, he's got a lifeline. I actually think with that Edward one, he beat him, and then he was that fast to get in, and he made the block, and I think kind of Alisson gets a touch on it. I'm delighted with that. The options at centre back are actually frightening, because we forgot about Nat Phillips as well, sitting on as a fifth centre back. It's really, really good options.
I think the big thing for me with the centre backs is, now I'm delighted Nat Phillips signed the contract, because, or even the fact that he's definitely going to, before he signs that contract, I wanted to see him at the club definitely until January, because I'm looking at Gomez and VVD and saying, right, they're still making their way back into this squad for me. And Klopp said it the other day. He said Virgil van Dijk is more or less still on an extended pre-season as far as they're concerned, because of the injury that he's had, how long he's been out. And we're not saying he's not recovered, but he will need, there's obviously steps that you have in this process. And if he falls down on any of these steps, you will see Konate come in, or you'll see Gomez come in, and Nat Phillips is there. And like he said, Matip's injury record is not great, and he may drop out at some stage. But to see the quality in our centre halves, AC Milan during the week with Joe Gomez, and yesterday with Ibrahima Konate, you're looking, you're going, you know what? I'm not saying they play every week, but whoever goes in there, you're quite confident in them. And even, during the week, you've seen Matip and you've seen Gomez, and people always go on about, well, once it's Virgil and someone else, we're fine. The sort of way. But them two played during the week, and okay, we can see 2 goals. But I think that was more down to our lack of organisation in the midfield for me. I thought AC Milan's goals was caused by the midfield probably getting too happy with going and pressing and being a little bit out of shape and getting exposed then, and being, Milan running at you 4-on-4, and all it takes is one good pass and you're in. But I think when you see those centre halves coming in, like the midweek and like yesterday, and you say to yourself, you know what, yeah, there's incidents or there's little bits here and there where you go, oh, he got away with that, but he recovered. They'll grow into it, and they'll start to know each other more, and to have them options, I think, is great. Absolutely brilliant. And I was delighted to see him start. I was delighted the way he played. And Kev O'Sullivan says some of his forward passing was very good. He needs to channel his inner Matip and carry the ball through midfield. And I think he's well capable of doing that. But I think teams are going to be watching for this now, because a massive thing was made about Matip last week of how Liverpool were playing it to Matip, and teams were letting him have it, and he was just strolling up the pitch, and he's really good with the ball. So I think you'll see that kind of trying to be cut out by teams as we go forward, because a huge thing was made of it last week. But Chris, I'm going to give you the Keita goal. The goal itself is brilliant. The celebration I just fucking loved. I adored the celebration. It was really kind of, what do you think of that? And he's just standing there, no expression on his face for about 5 seconds, and then breaks into a smile. But it was a cracking hit, wasn't it? As it loops down on his left foot, it could go anywhere, but it was a really, really good finish.
Oh yeah, it's a stunning goal. It's probably what a lot of people are expecting to see from Naby Keita. I think the celebration was more. I think he looked more surprised than we did that it went in, and probably that he didn't pull a muscle doing it. So but look, I'll give him his credit where it's due. It's a stunning finish. He's slowly he's done all right in most games this year that he's actually come in and done cameos. AC Milan aside, so that only do him some world of good confidence. Because I thought before the goal, I actually thought Jones was actually more effective when he came on than Keita. I think Jones is slowly becoming quite an effective left-sided option, centre mid option. Yeah. But look, technique-wise, for that goal, the heart. I'm saying like I know, but. If he tried to, whack the ball, put full pace behind it, that balloons over. The technique to control that in, there aren't many players that can do that. We've seen many a player at the edge of the box balloon that over, but that's 3 set piece goals now. So it proves having a set piece specialist is quite handy, isn't it? I mean, obviously don't tell Danny Murphy, because it'll kettle his head that set piece specialist is helping Liverpool again. But we are where we are, I suppose.
It was a really good finish, and it was good to see him get a goal. I think when you look at him since the start of the season, people are saying, playing really well for me, playing really well, and again he's evolved into a midfielder at Liverpool, midfielder, rather than Naby Keita turning up and changing the way Liverpool play. I think it's helped him in the fact that he's playing to Liverpool's strengths, and that's actually helped him. If you get me, we're not looking for him to jink past players, beat 3 or 4, sticking in the top corner, or magic every time he gets on it, like Leipzig going back to 2017. He's much more pragmatic with the ball, but it's actually by being pragmatic he's been more effective. But to see that drop on the edge of the box yesterday, and it's such a controlled volley but power behind it, I thought it was really good. And you're right, Jones I thought was a good when he come on, and again you're seeing more options coming, and affect games, and I think that's good. We're not bringing players on because of injuries. Now having said that, Thiago goes off, but what I'm saying is we're not just filling gaps and going all the pressure on you. We're bringing players in and going, look, we're 2-0 up, go on there now and have your 25 minutes. And Curtis Jones come on, I thought he was really good. But for Keita himself, that's just another step along for me, is what him nearly recovering his Liverpool career and trying to make himself a different sort of player for Liverpool, and that's part of it for me. That goal yesterday, and it wraps up a really, really good win.
He cracked one in as well, didn't he? Just before that, he had a shot from distance as well. I think that Keita had the save. So he did have a couple of shots, which is good to see. You know, it's something that we don't generally get from our midfield players. I know Hendo pinged one in last week and Fabinho has done it in the past, but we have this sort of thing that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is the midfielder who comes on and shoots from distance. And I think if we look at it, he probably doesn't do it all that much. But it's good to see the others doing it. It's good to see Naby getting the ball and trying to attack and do things with purpose in it. Because we've said it previously, you're right, Gav, I think he's adapted his game and he's playing more like Genie in the games this season, in the sense that he's not looking to drive and beat players and beat the press all the time. He's being more economical with the ball and with possession. But it's good to see him getting on and having them strikes. And look, I don't think there's anybody, certainly in this podcast, in the day trippers in general, that wants Naby Keita to fail. Do you know what I mean? We all want Naby Keita to succeed, and I hope this is something that can happen. What, we 3-4 years into Naby, we're just waiting on them to get that little bit, because he scored a cracker against Chelsea, didn't he, the night that we won the league?
That was his last goal.
Yeah, but everything sort of, I don't know, you know, there was no chance to carry that on because we were sort of dipped after that. Inevitably, the intensity went over a game after that. So he didn't get a chance to really build on it. And I'm just hoping that this is something that he can build on. Because if he does, it's a great option. Curtis Jones, I thought, was an excellent option when he came on. And I like Curtis Jones even as a forward option. I think playing on the left-hand side, I think he's a nice little option as well, because he does like to run at teams. So Gav is right, we'll pick up injuries. Thiago goes off. I think we're at a stage as Liverpool fans where every little injury we're dreading, we're fearing the worst on every little one of them. Do you know what I mean? Trent's not in the team. Oh, bollocks, what's wrong with Trent? Is Trent injured? Or Thiago goes off. Any word on Thiago? I know we had a bad one with Harvey Elliott the other day, but you're going to pick up injuries. The problem we had last season was the ones we couldn't afford to lose, we lost. Now, look, touch wood, that's not going to happen again. But you can't fear that all the time. You just have to play the game, trust your squad, and hopefully we've enough there, because I think Liverpool are skating along here under the radar, and there's no better place to be, because we're the team that can build that momentum and win. And if we get into that rhythm, we'll be a hard one to stop.
Rames Khalil says the most complete version of Mo we've seen, referencing Mo Salah, the chat we had a couple of minutes ago.
I agree, 100%.
Any news on Thiago? I haven't heard anything. I think it might have been a bit of a precaution. It looked like a calf. But thoughts on Chelsea? Seems to be their shithousing their way through games with 5 defenders and 2 DMs. Well, just on Chelsea, I watched Chelsea today and they were well worth their victory. If you watch the second half, first half, Spurs put them under a bit of pressure by pressing them and going 3-on-3 with them against their centre backs, and they didn't like it, but they were still quite organised. But Spurs are poor. They just don't look like they have any creativity about them. And I think once Chelsea made the change and brought Kante in and went to that midfield three, they were always going to win the game, because they just snuffed out Spurs' idea of playing 3-on-3 at the back.
You need to score early if you're doing that, Gav. You know, Tottenham need to take their chances early in the game.
Yeah, but when you look at the way they done it, and they take Mount off and they put Kante in there and they keep that width, but they make themselves much more solid in midfield in doing that, protecting their 3 centre backs. By giving that protection, Spurs are less likely to go 3-on-3 against you, because you have more chance of cutting out the ball, cutting out service, and then Spurs are in trouble because they're light. Both, through the middle of the park and wide, because them wide forwards are trying to play narrow, and it hurts Spurs. And you could see it once the first goal went in, it was
a Son chance. I think that the Son chance is a bad touch, and Kepa collects it. I think that's, if Spurs score that, it's different. But to be honest, Gav, I agree. See, towards the end of the game, Chelsea could have scored about 6. Tottenham looked absolutely done, looked unfit. I'm not saying that's maybe because they tried to press them so hard at the start, but yeah, honestly, 3-0 was flattering to Spurs. I think Lukaku had 3 opportunities he could have shot, and he passed to Werner, and obviously Werner managed to muck that up, as he seems to do a lot now. But that could have been about 6-0 today.
Shaka asks on a super chat, where's Shawnee and Grizz? I told you earlier, Shawnee's walking, Grizz has gone to Turkey to get his hair done, or teeth, or both. We're not too sure. But Kev O'Sullivan puts a stat in here, right? And he says 125 shots on goal in the first 5 games of the Premier League season, right? Now, I've put that up on the screen because the stats from yesterday's game are here. and Liverpool have 25 shots, create 15 chances, 412 accurate passes, 84% pass success. They foul a bit more than Palace, which I like. But out of 25, they have 10 on target. They've 10 shots blocked. You know, there's 17 shots from inside the box. Keith, are we seeing something different from Liverpool this season? Because I don't remember us having 25 shots continuously on goal. And I'm going back to last year or two. I could be wrong. Someone might find the stats, but is there just... I don't see us as massively over-attacking compared to the last couple of seasons. But there seems to be like we're getting shots away a lot more. We're not looking for an extra pass. And maybe that's just a very simplistic way of looking at it, but that's probably the way I'm feeling on it. It just seems to be like, just get the shots off and see what happens.
Yeah, again, I don't want to, put the mockers on us or anything and jinx it, but I don't think so far this season, last season we had games, we all saw them where you knew it was inevitable you weren't going to score. We were having all these chances and we were missing them in the first half of games, and you just knew the Newcastle game at the end of the season, Leeds, all these games where we're not taking our chances. We're creating them, but we're not taking them. We're missing them, and we look like it was going to haunt us. This season, we're creating all these chances, and I don't get the feeling we're not going to take them. I think Jota had a stinker yesterday, if I'm being honest. I didn't think he had a good game, even without that miss. He's such a clinical player, and to have him in there. We have Mo Salah, who's gone to another level now, I think, with his... this season, he's a serial killer at the moment with the ball. And we just look a better attacking unit than we did last season. And I know it's the same personnel in there. We all know we didn't sign an attacker, we know that. But we just look like our attacks have a bit more purpose about them. And the chances we're creating have a bit more purpose. Do you know what I mean? Whereas last season, I think we were going into games and we were... sloppy ones, and we were missing. I know we touched on Mane missing 10 chances against Leeds, and then he pops one in. But we're working well, I think. The midfield, the forwards, and I put it all down to defensive solidity. I put it all down to the fact that Van Dijk is back in there. Whoever he's playing with, whether that be Matip, whether it be Konate, whether it be Gomez, we're going to be pushed further up the pitch. And we know that means Trent is going to be further up the pitch, and we know Robertson and Tsimikas will be further up the pitch. And I think we just look more clinical, even though we've having all these chances and we're not scoring. Well, we are scoring. We scored, I think, 13, is it?
Yeah.
So far this season. I just think we look a better unit. I think we look, and I think it all comes from the back. I think we're developing that sort of, I don't want to say that aura of invincibility, right? Because it sounds like a twat. But, Alisson is in there now, and he's been excellent so far this season, Alisson. The minimum he's having to do in games, he's doing well. I think Conroy touched on the Edward chance earlier. He comes out and smothers that and gets it away. He's a good key. He's doing the right things, and that feeds into the defence, and that feeds into the midfield, and that feeds into the attackers. And I just think this Liverpool team look geared up like they did a couple of years ago for a good title charge. And I just think we're going to punish teams more than last season when we let teams off the hook. Because we said 3-0 seemed to flatter Crystal Palace. Seemed to flatter Leeds when we bet Leeds last week, and flatter the team the week before. We're flattering a lot of teams, but we're just going and doing our business. And the longer we do that, that's the reward we get at the end of it.
I think, like Kev O'Sullivan said, makes 2 points here, right? And I'll put to you, Chris. He says, last few seasons we walked the ball for the perfect chance. Not this season, he says, right? And he backs that up with, we're backing ourselves, if not to score, win a corner, win second balls, and it's another 100%. Chance created. Chris, I think he's nailed what I tried to say a minute ago, and he said it much better. Liverpool used to look for that extra pass, and we'd always have a conversation around decision making, right? Whereas now it's like, is there an opening? I'm hitting one, right? Or if it's not quite there, I will make the pass. But make a keeper make a save, make a defender make a block, win the second ball, goes out for a corner, look to be really good on corners, and I think it's not only good for Liverpool that we're just being bit more trigger happy around the box, where it's just let a shot go and see what happens. I think it's hurting other teams as well, because they probably look at Liverpool and say to themselves, they don't take an awful lot of shots from 20-25 yards. They look for that pass, they look for that creativity. Whereas now they're Do I stand off and look for the pass, or do I press and look for the block a shot? And if I do that, they're going to play around me. Is it something that Liverpool have just decided? Hit more fucking shots. It's that simple.
I think it's a combination of hit more shots, but I think now they've got the mojo back with set pieces, because we're being a bit more creative with set pieces, like the first Mane goal where you see Salah, instead of standing on the edge box, like he peels off to get a header. Salah hasn't done that for ages. And I think last season, partly because of the personnel issues we had, I think between October and February we didn't score a set piece goal.
Yeah,
and the fact you have a Konate, a Matip, a Van Dijk now for corners just physically makes Liverpool bigger and stronger. Our set pieces now become more effective. I think the stat came out since last season. Now we have the most goals from corners by anybody. I think we're on 16 goals now from corners. I think the next closest is 12. The year we won the league, that was a big thing. The big thing was the worst thing you could do for Liverpool is give them a corner. Either end, because if we concede a corner, we'll hit you on the break, and if we get a corner, we're getting something on it. The only difference now is he's definitely been telling Henderson, Fabinho, one of you now is on the edge of the box and you're cracking it, especially from a corner. There's somebody there now. It used to be edge of the box, they'd get it and they'd look to play it wide, play the nice pass, play it round to get another crossing. And against the likes of Burnley and even Palace, that's what they want. They want you to put wide crosses. These shots from distance is not what they're expecting. They're not told to expect for that. Whereas like United, you expect them to do that. So, but I do think the set pieces is the big thing now. The only thing I think we're still a bit weak is I don't think we have a reliable person. If we have a free kick 25 yards from goal, and they say like, right, who's going to take it? Like if it's City, it's Kevin De Bruyne, and he gets 8 of them on target. If it's United, it's probably Fernandes, Ronaldo. I do think that's the one thing.
What about Trent? 25 yards out.
I don't think he's reliable.
I don't think he's good enough. Yeah,
I think he's 2 in 10. If you watch,
I think Trent's the only closest one. I think the probably best free kick taker, but he doesn't take them. Is who's got the best record in that team is Virgil van Dijk. I think Virgil van Dijk scored about 4 in his career. Well, Trent might have rivaled that now actually.
Yeah, Thiago's okay for Bayern for trying to, but I do think that's the one thing in the squad we haven't quite got as a reliable.
Yeah, Salah should not be anywhere near free kicks. I'm not having that. That really annoys me when it's like because he's a goal scorer. He's honestly the worst free kick taker. There's no pace in the ball. It's never going in. He's never came close with Liverpool.
I'm wondering before the injury, would you have seen Harvey Elliott have a crack at too? Because technically he's that good from a dead ball.
It's a name that nobody like. I mean, Keith hates this name getting mentioned, but it's the one element of Coutinho that never got replaced. That's the one thing Coutinho got good at probably the last 2 years was a free kick 20-25 yards ago.
It's a trap.
You knew it was working the keeper. It may not always go in, but it worked him. And then you had Salah to.
Yeah, but Coutinho's rate was ridiculous before he left for free kicks. That was Messi rate of going in. Do you know what I mean? That's not normal.
No, but even before that season, you would say 7 out of 10, he was working the keeper, do something. I do think
even from far out as well, because against Arsenal it was like 30 yards out, he scored at the Emirates. It wasn't even like close. So that's a really good point, Chris.
Yeah. Whereas Trent's free kicks is all about the delivery. His delivery on free kicks and set pieces is excellent. But shooting, I don't think he has scored a few crackers. Let's be honest. But I thought Shaqiri was probably the best set piece taker when he was there, and he's never in the team to take these set pieces. But we are maybe a set piece specialist.
Virgil should hit more. Virgil should get to hit more.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, maybe so, because I think Trent's he's a good free kick taker. I think we've seen him. Do you know what? I think if he'd have scored less free kicks but worked the keeper more on the ones that aren't as good, you'd be kind of going, he's really dangerous. You know, where he scores, like he scores at home to Palace, he scores at home to Chelsea, he scores away at Chelsea, he scores one away at Watford, if I remember rightly.
Scored at Hoffenheim.
Yeah, and you're kind of going, they're brilliant free kicks. And then he might have 20 that aren't. I think if he scored 2 of those 4 or 5 and hit the target 50% more of the time in the ones that he missed, you go, he's so dangerous. But I think you're right, Keith. I think if we had a second player, again, a bit of unpredictability when those 2 players are standing over it. Who's going to hit it? And the keeper, if he knows it's Trent, he knows he's probably going over the wall here. And I'm looking for that. I'm looking for that. And he usually does try to go over the wall to the wall side of it rather than trying to double guess the goalkeeper. I think if you have somebody that's alongside him, you kind of go, which way is this going? Just for a little bit of doubt. I think that might be.
Have you seen Van Dijk's free kicks for Celtic? Have you actually seen him talking about it?
Yeah.
No, but he's like whips it with curl. Like if you've in the comments, if you've not seen it, go and type in Van Dijk, I think against Inverness in the Scottish Cup semi-final. And when I say he whips this, it's like he whips it and you don't even see it. It's in the top corner. Like Van Dijk, I was watching the video when they do like the free kicks at the LFC thing. He hits one top corner. I really think Virgil is that player. Just doesn't seem to get any joy in it. But honestly,
I don't even think it's asking him to take free kicks. I think it's a case of get two fellas over the ball and you're not sure who's going to hit it.
Yeah,
I think that, and even if it is Trent that hits it, there's still a bit of doubt in the goalkeeper's mind. Is he going to hit it? And by the time you kind of make that your mind up, it's over the wall and you've more chance of scoring because the keeper has that bit of doubt. LFC Aaron says he's surprised Milner doesn't take more when he's playing. Free kicks was, I think there's a good few players in the squad that can hit free kicks, and I think, you know what, it might take a likes of a Thiago or even a Jota or anybody to hit a free kick that goes in, and then you go, you know what, stand him over the ball next week, and he's not hitting it, but stand him over it and see where we going. And a bit like people have said in the chat there, we're trying to cause a bit of mayhem in boxes, not by mad passing and making a pinball like one person said in the chat, but by hitting shots and asking keepers to save it and get it away from their goal. If you don't get away from their goal, you're in trouble. A bit like the goal for Mane yesterday. He doesn't get it away from me enough, and Mane capitalises on it, and we're seeing that a little bit more, and I'm all up for it. Start hitting shots. I'm not talking Dayan Lovren FA Cup semi-final desperation 40 yard shit, but I'm talking about if there's a chance of a shot and you're 25 out, or there's probably a harder pass on, hit the shot, because the next time the pass becomes a lot easier because people are trying to block a shot, and then your pass becomes easier because they've remembered that shot 5 minutes later. And it's unpredictability, and it goes back to last season when we were missing those players where we became predictable. It was Trent in the box. Go back and watch Burnley at Anfield when they beat us, and it was horrendous the amount of crosses that man was hitting on me. But overall, 3-0 win. Some moments for Palace, but it gave our defenders something to deal with. And in the case of Konate, Tsimikas and Milner in particular, they came through it with flying colours. And it's a 3-0 win, and Liverpool have 14 points from 15. They are second in the league on alphabetical order, but it's a good start. And we look forward to Brentford away next Saturday evening. Before we go, lads, I want man of the match. I want you to pick me a team for Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday against Norwich in the League Cup. Keith, pick me a team for Norwich in the League Cup, please.
Didn't think I'd have to do this.
Why?
Kelleher in goal.
Yeah.
Gomez and I don't think Phillips will play. Gomez and Phillips centre back. I think Nico Williams, is he fit?
I think it's Conor Bradley. Isn't Conor Bradley not in the under-23s today?
Well, then it could be Conor Bradley. I don't think it'll be Milner again. And then possibly Tsimikas left full. I think it'll be a mix of experience and younger players. But I think then we'll probably see a midfield with Curtis Jones, with Naby Keita and maybe Ox. Yeah, Ox. And then up front, Divock. Don't you have that many options? Taki maybe and
Kate
Mane.
I think Kate Gordon plays.
Do you think he plays Kate Gordon?
Well, he wasn't. Both him and Bradley went in the under-23 squad today for them.
Yeah, Kevin Ball says Kate Gordon and Bradley were not involved with the 23s today, which would suggest Barney.
I would think he'll be on the bench. I think he'll play one of the front three alongside Divock and Taki, but I could be wrong. I'd be delighted to see Kate Gordon getting a chance because I think he's an exciting player in the mould of a Harvey Elliott, in the sense that we're looking to sign these players in, and it doesn't matter what age they are. They're sensational young players, and Klopp is happy to give them a chance. So yeah, if it's Kate Gordon, happy days.
I think Norwich will put out a very young side. The way they started in the league, I think they're literally at the stage where they can't risk anybody. For me, if they want to try stay in this league, and I don't care about finding their feet and all that, they're way too naive. And I said this 2 years ago when they're in the league, they're still way too naive. And if they want to continue on like that and try to get out of this, 5 games, 5 defeats, they're in serious trouble. And I can't see them risking many first-team players on Tuesday with looking to escape from what they're in already. They're lucky that there's a couple of teams around there that have 2 and 3 points, because they could have been 5 or 6 adrift. They're not, but I can't see them risking many big players. So for me, before the lads go, I'd put Kelleher in goal. I'd play Bradley right back. I'd play Tsimikas left back. I'd I'd go with you. I'd go with Gomez and Phillips. Midfield, I think you'll definitely see Curtis Jones start. I think you'll see Naby Keita start. I think he might do Milner. I think he might do Milner as the deepest player in that midfield three. And I just go Kay Gordon, Divock Origi and Minamino up front. And I give as many players a rest as we can, because if you're going to squad rotate against Palace on a Saturday, why are you throwing them in on a Tuesday against Norwich? And it's a big game next Saturday. Brentford this is Brentford's biggest ever fucking game, and I don't know how long. You know,
good win last at the weekend for Brentford.
They had a good win.
At the Wolves.
Yeah, they did a good win, and not only that, like, I know Arsenal don't count as a big team to hold up Jack Gaffer anymore. This is their biggest game so far.
Those days are gone.
This is their biggest game in their new stadium that's a year old, in their first season in the Premier League. What?
It's at Anfield, I think.
No, we're away to Brentford.
No, it's away 5:30 next week in the film.
Oh, is it away, is it?
Yeah. And I think it's their biggest game, so I think Brentford will be well up for it. So I'd love to see a Liverpool side fully refreshed going into that. Bar Tsimikas, I think, because he'll have a chance of playing. Konate or Keita may as well, but I think with the way he used the subs at the weekend, I think he's getting the likes of Keita and Jones ready to play in the midfield come Tuesday. So that would be my side. Chris, anything else? Any changes to that? Would you go any different?
No, I mean, I suppose the only ones to ask about is Chamberlain. If he's not getting a game against Norwich, when's he getting a game? The same with Minamino.
Yeah,
I assume Chamberlain's got to play. The question is, do you play him midfield or do you play him up front? And I can't.
I think you'll play him in the false nine. I think you'll play him in the false nine during the week.
Yeah, and play Divock on the false wing. I'm quite good. He's quite good.
Well,
he's
probably
quite
right. He's pretty...
Yeah, I forgot all about him. Do you know what? I don't think Keita starts. I think you go Milner. I think you go Jones, and I think you go Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain midfield.
Be in that team
the Thiago injury, whatever happens with that, might dictate whether Keita plays or not. You know, if Thiago's out long term, he might pull Keita and go with. But we don't have that many options. I don't know if there's any young players that are looking to break into the team. I don't think there is.
I don't know. I think he'll try to use the squad that he has there, and the likes of Kay Gordon coming in. Where are you going? Where are you going with? Give us your 11 then, Chris. Go
on. So we'll go Keller in goal, Bradley, Gomez, Phillips, Tsimikas, Milner, Jones, Chamberlain, and then we'll go Origi, Minamino, and Kate Gordon.
Okay, so yeah, I go with the same. Conroy, are you having any of that, or do you want to change something?
I think I'll be the same as Keith. I do think he might put Ox at the false nine, but I just remembered obviously Divock, he played him last week and he had a good game. So I think he'll have, like same as Keith, he'll have Ox in the midfield, and then Divock up front with Kay Gordon and Minamino. And as you said, it'll dictate with Thiago, so it'll be Keita, Ox, and Jones, and then the back three is Tsimikas, Gomez, Phillips, and Connor Bradley with Kelleher in goals.
Okay, a couple of shouts there. Balagizi says Kev O'Sullivan, and Escapado 007 says Musialowski. I'd love to see him get a game.
Maybe on the bench. You might see him on the bench.
Yeah, I'd love to
get a start.
I'd love to see him. Avo asks, what's the agenda for the week? What's the agenda for the week? The forum's on tomorrow. Pre and post match on Tuesday. Midweek fix Wednesday. I don't think there's a carnage this week. Grizz on holiday unless he's sorting something out to the side that I don't know about yet. And Friday will be Sports Unplugged. Saturday will be a pre and post match for Brentford, and we'll be back on Sunday, hopefully. A few people have asked where have all the shows disappeared this week. There's just the way it's fallen this week. There's some shows that only go out on YouTube, and some of them go out on YouTube and as a download. So that's why you've seen less shows this week. The forum had a week off. Carnage had a week off this week, so that's why there's less shows on your download, but it'll be packed this week. Listen, if there's shows there that aren't on download and you want to see them on download, let me know and I'll do my best. But the likes of the pre-match show, you know, are you going to listen to a pre-match show after the game? I don't know if you are. So the stuff like that, and then the Sports Unplugged stuff we try to leave on YouTube because it is a mix of sports. But if you want it as a download, just tell me, and look, sure, I've nothing else to be fucking doing. Let me know, and I'll stick them up as a download for you as well. All right. Man of the match, Conroy, go first. Give me your man of the match, please.
Man of the match, I'll go for. Oh my, I'd say I thought Sadio played well. I think he's my man of the match. I think he played quite well. I'll go for Mane, obviously getting his 100 Premier League goal, 100 goal for Liverpool, and it's his 98th Premier League goal. So he's only actually 2 away from being in the 100 club for the Premier League as well. So I think, as Keith alluded to earlier, I was not criticising him last week, and I still justify that because he had a decent game, but he did miss more than you should miss. You'll never miss that many chances again in a game. However, if he can just keep that, not decline, but he's not the same player he was, if he can keep that going, I'm quite happy. And I think he's be a great asset for us. So I'll give the man a match. He scored a vital time because Jota misses an absolute sitter and he gets him out of jail with instinctive finish. So I'd go for Mane for me.
Okay. Chris, man of the match?
I'll go Alisson because I think he made the key saves when we needed him to keep the game going. So I'll go Alisson.
Okay. Keith?
I'm going to go left field. Literally, I'm giving it to Tsimikas. I enjoyed, and look, it's a bit mad. I know we spoke about the penalty incident and all earlier and a bit of a brain fart, but I enjoyed the battle that you had with Jordan Oil on the wing. I thought it was a really, really good day. I thought he overcame the challenges that were asked of him, and I thought he was excellent. I love Andy Robertson, and I'm delighted that we have a player now that we can rest Robbo from time to time and just keep him as fresh as possible. And if you see Tsimikas in the team now, you're not like, oh, for
okay.
fuck's sake.
Yeah.
You're happy with that. Yeah. So
he just got that little night. It's like the 99.9%. He's just got, like as Gav said, just got that little. But I think that'll be eradicated soon because I think when you're with Virgil, you'll let him know. Like they'll look back at that, and I don't think that incident will be forgotten about in the changing rooms. You know, as Gav said, the Benteke one. So I think that'll be eradicated quite quickly.
Yeah.
I thought Salah was good. I thought he was good. I thought Konate on his first start was good. But I'm going to give it to James Milner. You know, I think the stats from earlier on, you know,
speak for themselves.
And I don't try to make too much of his age because if you know, people say if you're young enough, you're good enough, and if you're 36 and you're good enough, you're good enough. But I genuinely, you see it from a lot of people, not only Liverpool fans but other fans going, "Oh, Milner against Zaha. Oh, Liverpool are, you know, too much of a risk here, and they're kind of being a bit too cocky with their lineup." But Milner comes in and I think he's very, very good. I think, like Conroy said earlier, there's one where he doesn't track a run, but other than that, I thought he was exemplary, both defensively and going forward. I thought he was really good, and just as an overall experience and how to manage a game and let others play and go and win the game for us, I thought Milner was excellent. Norman says R.I.P. Boise and Greaves. Of course, Jimmy Greaves passed away, and Jimmy Greaves, you get to see any footage of him, was fucking outrageous as a goal scorer. And a lot of people of our era would have grown up with Saint and Greavesy on ITV, wasn't it? ITV?
Yeah, ITV. In Saturday morning.
Yeah, in the early 90s. Late 80s,
the 80s, yeah, it was the 80s.
And then into the early 90s. And they were brilliant. Two brilliant footballers, but they were very good entertainers as well around football. And of course, Boise is the reference to the Only Fools and Horses actor that passed away as well.
Yeah, John Chalice.
Yeah, after a long
R.I.P.
battle with cancer. And, you know, for anybody that, I'm sure everyone has seen Only Fools and Horses, but if you haven't,
get to watch.
A sad day like this kind of makes you go back and watch a few episodes because
it's a laugh. It's like
he's so
exactly.
Good. He's so
it's
good.
like
one of the best characters.
But
no,
I'm terrible impressions.
And as you know, like we're a football podcast, but we love all that sort of stuff as well, the comedy and stuff like that. So absolutely go and take a look at them. But obviously our thoughts with Boise's family, as we call it.
The Boise's.
And friends, and of course Jimmy Greaves' family and friends and everyone at Spurs as well. On a sad day.
But on Jimmy Greaves, I don't think Jimmy Greaves in the annals of history gets the credit that he deserves. Jimmy Greaves was a ridiculously good goal scorer, and
madness,
like ridiculous. And as a player, like, but I look back at grainy footage and all that. I love all that crap, as a lot of you know. And he was a brilliant player, and he misses out on the 66 cup final, and you know, I think that not hampers him, but Jeff Hurst comes in and scores a hat trick, and
He's kind of
Jimmy
overshadowed
Greaves,
as well,
he's even Roger Hunt sort of gets overshadowed. You know, the great strikers England had, and not disrespecting Jeff Horst, but Jimmy Greaves was probably the best striker in England and one of the best in Europe back then. And he just sort of missed out, I think, on getting his moment in the headlights then, and very sad. But if you look back at some of the stuff he done and read his story, very sad. You know, he's had to struggle with a lot of things in his life as well. So yeah, it's a sad day for, as Gav said, anyone who watched St. Greaves growing up. But there's some of the
I've just grabbed that really quickly. 661 appearances, Spurs, 466 goals. Scored in his debut for Chelsea, England, Spurs, and Milan. England's fourth highest goal scorer, 44 goals in 57 England caps, 357 most goals in English top division history, most England hat-tricks of 6, and 132 goals in 4 seasons for Chelsea. And also
I think I heard a stat, Gav, as well. It's like only Messi and Ronaldo have scored more goals in the top 5 leagues than Jeff Hurst. I'm sure that's a stat. So that just...
And Jeff Hurst,
phenomenal.
Jimmy Greaves.
Jimmy Greaves, not Jeff Hurst, sorry, Jimmy Greaves. So that just shows you like the calibre. Scoring rate you could do.
And done it for AC Milan as well, you know. He wasn't just doing it in England, done it in AC Milan as well.
An unbelievable goal scorer. He really was. So we've done all that. We've done the man of the matches. The last thing I want to talk about, the Sienna campaign. So the Sienna campaign's been going on a couple of months now. I think when we started off, she might have had something like 40,000 raised of 120,000. And I did go on record and saying if we get this done or be a part of getting this done, it'll be the biggest achievement ever at this channel. And I mean that, because the biggest achievement we have at this channel is not the amount of people that watch, not the amount of people that subscribe. Although we love the amount of people that watch and subscribe, don't get me wrong, the people that interact with us on social media and in these shows and everything else. And our biggest achievement for us so far has been the campaign with Keane that helped him with everything that he was going through a couple of months ago. But this one now has gone over 100 grand. All right, it took a massive turn on Thursday or Friday when there was a huge event for Sienna in the K Club, which is the golf club that hosted the 2006 Ryder Cup, and €30,000 was raised on the day. All right, to bring on top of other funds that are waiting to come in. So I think at the moment her GoFundMe shows around 65,000, but there's actually about 36,000 to go on top of that. So they're at 101,000, and people sometimes look at it and go, "Oh, they're at 101, they're good. You know, they'll get there." The last 20 is going to be hard. It's probably the hardest bit of it when you're trying to get people to push it over the line. So all we're asking for, and it's not for us, you know, we're not gonna run around the streets going, look at what we done. We're not. We just see it as a big achievement for us to help in this. And the goal is to get her. She's going to America anyway, but the goal is to get her the treatment. Her family has to be over there for 5 weeks, at their own expense. When she goes over for treatment, and then come back for extensive treatment when she comes back, rehab and stuff like that, which literally costs more than the operation itself, I think, when you work it out. So what we're asking for is that if you're watching now, or if you're listening to the download, the easy way I can put it is, it's in the show description, whether you're watching or listening. You can go onto our website and you can find ways of donating. Or, and I can't stress this enough, literally go onto Google and type in Sienna Steps. And the first thing when you hit go comes up is Sienna Steps, GoFundMe. Go in there, donate as little or as much as you can. And if you can't, just copy the link and send it to everyone you know and say, listen, this is a really good cause. They're really close to getting to 120 grand. Because I promise you, if she gets to 120 grand, she's going to get this treatment, she's going to get rehab, and she's going to go to school like anybody else would go to school. She's not going to need a walker. She's not going to need assistance from her family. She's going to walk to school and go to school like any other 4 or 5 year old child should when that time comes. So that's all we're asking for. That's the biggest thing as well. Like, you can go and buy a ticket for Anfield, a virtual ticket. It's €1. They've sold. I think we've sold 1,000, 1,500 of them maybe. We're waiting to get the figures back on them. But you know what? We never thought we'd sell 50,000 of them. That was just another way of people being able to donate. If you want to do it that way, absolutely go and do that. If you want to donate through the GoFundMe, absolutely go and do that. And if you're in any doubt and you can't find it, you can't find it in the show description, you can't find it on Google for some mad reason, just get on to us on our social media and say, please send me the link, all right? I'll knock around to your house and I'll fucking do it with you if I have to,
Yeah.
right? But look, that's all we're trying to do, and you know, you hear people saying, you know, this is more important than football. It is. You know, it's way more important than us for talking bollocks tonight, like we do most Sunday nights or Mondays or Tuesdays. Now, we have a great time doing it, and we love doing it, and we try to bring something to people. But this is bigger. It always will be bigger. And you know what? When the Sienna campaign comes and goes, somebody might come to us and say, can you do us a hand with this? And we absolutely will, because we see these things as huge, because the community we've established here, and you know, I always say our chat is the most knowledgeable around for me when I watch YouTube. But the community we've established here are so good at helping, and you know, a huge pat on everyone's back if we can get to 120k. And most importantly, a 3-year-old child is being told that, listen, whatever you need is now there for you to make a huge step in your life for the rest of your life. So that's what we're looking to do. And I'm sorry for rabbiting on for a couple of minutes about that, but it's extremely important. And you know yourself, you see something and you go, they're nearly there, somebody else will do that and they'll get to that 120, and when I look in a couple of months they'd have got there. If you can't donate, that's absolutely fine. Just share it and share and share and share and share. And trust me, if people keep sharing it and share it as much as we think they can, this 20 grand will go in no time. Absolutely no time. And that family can travel to America in November in the full knowledge that they're not coming home to uncertainty, will we have enough money? They're going knowing that all the money is there for the treatment, for the stay in America, and for the rehab when she comes back to Ireland. And you've no idea how grateful this family will be for that. So I just wanted to say that before we left. But Conroy, anything else before we go?
No, not for me, Gav. Just to reiterate that, it's just a great cause, and to go to the page. But yeah, nothing else from me. So thanks again for the show.
Okay, Red Steve makes a huge point here, and I think I should read it out. He says, we have to reach the total, or they'll have to stay with Phil Casey, and nobody needs that. Now, that's a great point, right? If we don't make it to 120 grand, Sienna and her family will have to stay with Phil Casey, and nobody wants that, because Phil is mental. Right, so to save Sienna from Phil Casey and a week in his gaff, with our family, please donate.
Just a little sad music, little backtrack.
Because Phil is mental. Phil will be back tomorrow night. Actually, he'll be back tomorrow night. As long a way to return. So great point by Red Steve. Chris, anything else before we go?
Only two little things from me, because I bang on about it all the time. The women have got a game this Sunday, the 26th. They're playing Palace. So if you're in the area, if you're near Prenton Park, you know, buy a ticket, join the crowd. I think the crowd last week was 800. So you know, the crowds are growing, and you know, the women could do our support. And hopefully by end of this month, just give Gav something else to do. I'll have another show going live with a couple of people from the Anfield Rap and Emma Sanders from the BBC, and I will try and get a few more interviews. So if people have requests for who you'd like me to interview, drop me a message. I can always ask the club, and you never know your luck. See what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris has put a lot of work into this with regards to the women's football, and we're doing it because we've been asked to do it. People have come on and said, can you cover the women's football more? And we're just lucky to have someone in Chris that is really involved with the women's team. Not directly, but he's a season ticket holder for the women's team, and he brings his, I think was born out of bringing your daughter to see them, isn't that right? Yeah. That interest has grown and grown and grown. His knowledge on the women's team is probably second to none amongst us anyway. And, you know, there is interviews and there is shows monthly with regards to how the women's team are getting on, and the club itself is putting a big push on the women's team this year. So go and enjoy them. There's been a couple of interviews so far. There's been one show so far, and there's another one coming towards the end of the month. So that is good. Keith, anything else before we go, other than people trying to accost you on bridges in Dublin?
Yeah. I'm gonna go out tomorrow. You'll catch me walking around the bridges of the River Liffey. I'll be the fella stopping people and just going, I seen you looking. It is me. I know you're thinking this.
Yeah.
It is. I'm your man off the internet, off the YouTube.
One time, you thought it'd be unbelievable. You try it like 60 times, but one person's like, "Oh, it's you." That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I visions of? I vision you going up to people and going, "Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. I'm just a normal bloke living a normal life, but I've seen you looking." And
Yeah.
listen, don't be afraid to come over and say hello. And people just looking at you going, what in the name of Jesus is this going on with this fella? But yeah, I'm all up for it. Keith recording himself just walking up to people and pretending that he should be recognising. So that would be absolutely great crack.
Andrew Mooney has me down as a Tyson Fury lookalike by the looks of it. Am I fighting Anthony Joshua? Yeah, well, the Gypsy King does well. He's the most handsome man in boxing. So you know what I mean. If I'm a poor man's Tyson Fury, I'll take that.
Well, listen. I don't know if you'll be fighting anyone on bridges, but he will be.
No.
You'll be approaching people in the most vain thing I've ever heard of, and just asking them, tell them not to be nervous to say hello to Keith.
It is me before you. I know you're wondering.
I'm the fella of the internet. It's definitely
the fella off the internet.
Yeah,
that's
me. You can get a T-shirt with that on. Keith.
Yeah, we'll have
with
to
my face on it.
I'm the fella off the internet.
Yeah.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Yeah. It's fine. Come over.
It is me. I know you're wondering. It is me.
Yeah, it is me. Just randomly saying it to people would be brilliant. But anyway, we better go. We've taken up way too much time of these people's time. Anyway, that has been the Fatback for Sunday night. As I said, we should have the forum on tomorrow, pre and post match for Norwich on Tuesday, midweek fix on Wednesday. We'll let you know about Carnage on Thursday, Sports Unplugged on Friday, pre and post match for Brentford next Saturday evening, and we're back on Sunday with the Fatback 4. With the Sienna stuff, we are looking to do something in the next international break where we're going to just come on for 4 or 5 hours and bring loads of people on and have a great time. And we're going to try, literally, we're just going to leave a big link on the screen and go, listen, just go and type that link in, and we keep going and see how much we can earn and try to get to that €120,000 target. That has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a like on the way out. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe on the way out as well. That's been the Fatback 4. Have a good one. Over now.